Let's watch Mehdi Hasan destroy and debunk Trump for what essentially boils down to racism. I know, surprise, surprise, and his at least stated support in ending birthright citizenship, something that he could use to send adults that have lived their entire lives in America back to foreign countries because, well, they're brown. And it's also wildly unconstitutional, all of which we'll get into. But let's roll these clips and jump back in after with the context.
Trump not only thinks he can take away a right explicitly outlined in the very first sentence of the 14th Amendment, which explicitly says, quote, all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States. But Trump being Trump, he thinks he can get rid of it all by himself, not via constitutional amendment, not even via Congress, but via executive order. Yes, our next president is planning on instructing government agencies to deny social security numbers, passports, and public benefits to newborn babies in the US whose parents don't provide proof of their immigration status. But here's the thing. Birthright citizenship isn't just explicitly laid out in the Constitution, it's also been explicitly upheld by the Supreme Court. In fact, the relevant precedent here is over 100 years old. Yes, back in 1898, birthright citizenship took center stage at the Supreme Court after Wong Kim Ark, who was born to two Chinese immigrants in San Francisco, had his citizenship challenged by the xenophobic Chinese Exclusion Act.
And this is exactly correct. I want you to remember this entire election cycle, how MAGA told us that the left is doing fake news and propaganda for saying Trump wants to get rid of or go against the Constitution, and he would never do that. The right is the party that respects the Constitution, despite him directly saying he would terminate the Constitution. And now, here he is, giving the game away, openly stating, yeah, I will step outside the bounds of the Constitution, do it through executive order. So what, right? It's pretty scary precedents where we don't anoint kings in this country. But again, MAGA wants Trump to have this unchecked power as if he is the one able to do this outside of Congress, not Congress, not the Supreme Court, not the Constitution can stop him. But, Democrats, they can't even signal disdain for these institutions or else they're radicals. Like Trump, he's fine to go against the Constitution, but Democrats are radical for wanting to get rid of the filibuster. We shouldn't want to concentrate power under the executive this much. It allows for corruption, and Trump is ripe with corruption. He's shown us that. So why would we especially do it under him?
And don't just take my word for it. Even James Ho, a conservative lawyer turned Trump-appointed judge, wrote in 2009 that, quote, text, history, judicial precedent, and executive branch interpretation confirmed that the citizenship clause reaches most US-born children of aliens, including illegal aliens.
I think this quickly just shows how it's truly not a left or a right issue. I mean, birthright citizenship is constitutionally protected with judicial precedents to support it. Any American who enjoys what America stands for, supports the Constitution, wants to put country above party, would say, hey, this is insane. You trying to do this is kind of insane. It's anti-American, it's anti-Constitution, and it's scary, and it's not something we should allow in the highest office of our politics. But MAGA is just in a cult. Again, it's just MAGA now wants Trump to be able to overturn any constitutional provision he doesn't like. But remember, no gun laws because Second Amendment, oops, nothing you can do about it. It's in the Constitution. But again, 14th Amendment, let's let Trump single-handedly overturn it. He doesn't even need Congress, right? Who cares? Next, they'll let him run endless terms because he didn't get to run 2 in a row, so we might as well let him run another. And it's if we let him start, where does it end? And as long as it's Trump, MAGA is comfortable with this executive branch having king-like power. But when it's not Trump, then it's we need small government because big government is corrupt. But when it's Trump, let's have the biggest government all concentrated under the executive. It's really crazy.
It's the bit where it says all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to jurisdiction thereof are citizens. Conservatives argue that part, subject to jurisdiction thereof, was written in order to deny citizenship to anyone who still has loyalty to a foreign power, which they say includes people whose parents have not entered the country legally. But this isn't the mic drop they think it is. When the 14th Amendment was being passed back in the 1860s, the senators debating it pretty much all agreed that it would apply to pretty much everyone, including the children of foreign citizens with loyalty to other countries, but excluding Native Americans on reservations. Congress agreed to adopt the interpretation of Senator Jacob M. Howard, the author of the Citizenship Clause, who clarified the jurisdiction language, saying that it meant birthright citizenship would not apply to, quote, persons born in the United States who are foreigners, aliens who belong to the families of ambassadors or foreign ministers, but will include every other class of persons. When Senate Judiciary Chair Lyman Trumbull was asked if birthright citizenship applied to kids of Chinese immigrants, he said back then, undoubtedly.
And again, it's really crazy because the same could be said for their constitutional argument for no gun control. But it's like this whole thing relies on people just not actually understanding the writing of the Constitution, the interpretations decided by those who wrote it, what they meant in the time, its applications, and its purpose, right? And the judicial precedents around it, especially where this is a clear and settled matter as to what they meant, who it applies to, like the range and scope in which it does apply. Like this is not something to be argued anymore. And yet MAGA is completely comfortable with Trump trying to walk all of that back in the name of racism against brown people. But again, like the Second Amendment, we can't question at all. But like anything Trump wants to question, it's like, who cares if it's in the Constitution, right? But remember, again, party of the Constitution, where we're now left in a place where once again, we're just forced to hope that the guardrails of our democracy hold up against Trump's attempts to destroy them, to further the control of the actual deep state of his cabinet of now 13 billionaires, where the rest are 100 millionaires, as they have already made preliminary moves and voiced plans to erode away Social Security, Medicare, worker regulations, environmental protections, consumer laws to prevent financial scams, discrimination claims departments. It's like MAGA unironically said, we're mad at the system and these rich politicians who don't care about us at all and only care about themselves and lining their pockets. So instead, let's elect a billionaire who's going to allow the literal richest man in the world to control the government. Like you really just can't write it dumber than that. You know, we want a government that cares about small businesses more than corporations from the everyman, right? So let's elect a guy who will appoint a billionaire who married into money to run the Small Business Administration. Like, why do we still pretend that these people actually hold these positions? Can we stop doing that now? It's all about just buying into the marketing their side has so they can win. Like, winning is all these people care about. They don't care about America. They don't care about American values. They don't care about politics, economics, social issues. They don't talk about these things outside of election years. They disappear for 3 years. They come back when the election happens because they want to win. Like, I still get comments today that's just like, we won. We won, give up. Or, haha, Trump was the victor. Like, what? What do you mean? Like, what do these things mean? Like, these people literally view politics as sport. Like, it's just a competition. Like, at this point, it's the Super Bowl. And all that they want is bragging rights. And there's no context applied. But, like, for me, like, it's hard to, like, feel owned when somebody comments that who is on the side that lost by 4 times the margin just 4 years ago. Like, Trump won by one of the slimmest margins in the popular vote, and Biden won by a very, very wide margin, like over 4%. Trump was like under 2%. So it's like literally double. It's almost triple. It's like right under triple. Just 4 years ago. So bad they lost that they pretended that it was rigged and cried about it for 4 years. But now they want to turn around and pretend they have a leg to stand on to brag when they won. It's like, yeah, you got me. Oh no, I don't have to hear you cry and say it's rigged against you for 4 years. You really owned me.